Oh, good. You remembered to record.
I did that.
I know.
And
I was just trying to.
I want to welcome everybody tonight. We're so glad that you're here. And we're talking about manipulatives tonight in the special ed classroom. And we're glad that you stopped by to see what's going on. I am Mary Ann Reeve. I am from Super Teacher Special Ed Spot. And it would be nice if I could remember the name of my blog and things. And so we're so glad that you came and joined us tonight. Joining me tonight is Christine from Autism Classroom Resources. And Chris, you want to share anything about what you're doing and about yourself for anybody who hasn't been with us before?
Yeah, I run Autism Classroom Resources, also known as Autism Classroom News, because I can remember the name of my blog, but I can't decide what to name it. And tonight we really, I think, just wanted to talk about different ways that we could use manipulatives, most of which you probably already have in your classroom. We're coming up to the end of the year. How many more Fridays do you have before the end of the year? Is my question to you guys. 6. See, I knew somebody would know right off the bat.
5.
Counting Fridays is more fun than counting Mondays.
Oh, nice. 3.
Yeah, I decided counting Mondays was more fun. Or excuse me, counting Fridays was more fun. Erin's here.
Yeah, she was on her way in, she said.
Oh, good. Okay. You can count tomorrow or not count tomorrow. It doesn't matter. We haven't gotten through tomorrow, so. So we're coming up 6. We're coming up to the end of the year where we start to count our Mondays and our Fridays, and things are getting a little worn and tired. We're getting a little worn and tired. So we thought we'd just talk about some ways to use some pretty common materials that you find in your classrooms for teaching. So we'll share some for all different ages. Mary Ann, since you've got a picture up there, you want to go ahead and start?
Sure. I've taught all different kinds of special ed classrooms, and this picture shows a couple of ways to use clothespins. And one of my favorite tools to use in many different ways, whether you are in this picture, hopefully you can see using it to match letters. That's one of my favorite things to do. And or to match numbers is another great way to do it. One of my other favorite things to use is different color clothespins. These are just a couple. And to use them on task cards. Task cards that are letter and or number related, where you can attach the clothespin at the bottom and use them like that. Another thing that I really like to use is I'm drawing a blank. Oh, paper clips. One of my favorite things is different color paper clips, because you can use them a variety of different ways, and use them on all different kinds of materials and lessons. When I have worked with paper clips before, and I've used paper clips, one of the most important things that I do at the beginning of any type of use of manipulative is to provide my kids with an exploration time with them, because it's so easy for them to use them as toys right away. And so one of the things that I like to do is to just use the tools and let them play with them for a while. Give them some time to play with them. And then we go into a period of, and this isn't all on the same day, but a period of exploring. How do we use them? What's an appropriate way to use them? And things like that. I've used, like I said, the paper clips, different types of clothespins work really well. I probably use manipulatives. Probably, I give it depends on what they are. As to how long I give the exploration time for them to work with them first before they are actually using them for something in the room. And then once that's done, then I can go about teaching them what's the appropriate way to use them, how they are to use them, and things like that. Have you worked with anything like that, Christine?
Oh, yeah. And I think that one of the things that I was thinking of when we were talking about that before, I don't know if you've ever used rhythm sticks or lummy sticks in like morning meeting. We had a kid who used to throw everything we gave him. So we actually gave him bean bags instead. So his lummy stick cooking was a little softer than everyone else's, but it didn't hurt when he threw them across the room. I was trying to figure out why Aaron's question wasn't popping over to the side, which I thought was a little odd. But and I think obviously when you're working with any kind of material, you've got to teach the kids how to use it and what to use it for. I think having the visual cues of where things match and where things go and where you put them when you're done with them is a really important piece of it too. That you know that, when I take if I'm taking the clothespins off, they go in a bin so that there's a place to put them, and that makes it easier. Good. You let Aaron in. Let me have a couple.
Hi, guys.
Thanks for joining.
You're welcome.
I had decided I was going to talk about poker chips today, and I discovered that apparently I have so many tasks with poker chips that I thought they were boring, so I never took pictures of them, and I don't have them with me, but I wanted to share just a couple of other ones that I ran across that I think are important to think about, especially when we're talking about some older kids. So I know that. That's okay. This is actually a template that I made, and you can download it free on my blog, and I'll post the recording and the pictures that I show here. I'll link back to them. But he'd been working on counting, and he was in middle school, and he really was struggling with it. And so one of the things that, people really thought it was important that he be able to count, but I really wanted him to be able to do something functional instead of just continuing to count. And so I started thinking about the things that we would count on a regular basis. And one of them is when you're trying to set the table, you have to count out how many place settings you need. So I made a set of templates for forks, knives, and spoons. He happened to be counting to 5, and he also happened to have 5 people in his family. So my thought was, even if we never get him to be able to count independently, at least we could get it to the point where he could lay out the forks, pick them up, and put them on the table. Lay out the knives, pick them up, and put them on the table. So it gave him a jig to work with. And all I did was take plastic silverware that we had in the classroom, put it on a copy machine or a scanner, and scan them in, and then made it that way. So it became a matching task for him using real life materials that he needed to use. And that worked really well for him. And I actually I'll post on my blog where you can find the templates and download them online. So I've actually already made them. And I've done the same thing with money skills too. So I've done the same thing where, put it up here. You count money for different things. And again, these are up on the blog as well. But you count out 5 dimes, count out 5 pennies.
I love that. I do something similar with snack, except we just have open squares so that my students are able to request a certain number and then count out how many they want.
Oh, cool. That's a great idea. This one too, many of you would probably look in your art closet at this time of year and find a whole bunch of different pom-poms that were never used for art projects. If you don't have them, you can probably get them from your art teacher. But I made this as a patterning task so that kids could match a jig. Ice cube trays are great for sorting things. Someone was asking about suggestions for students who are severe. For kids who are severe, one of the things that the counting out the snack or the silverware or the money is actually something I've used for them because they can match it to the box. And even if they don't learn the skill of counting, it becomes something functional that they can do. Mm-hmm. And it's age appropriate for any kid, really. So I've done that for a lot of kids. I use a lot of manipulatives on put-in tasks, and I've done popsicle sticks as well. Poker chips are actually what I usually do for this, but when I'm working with kids who are pretty severe, one of the things that I really struggle with is finding enough put-in tasks for them to do so they're not doing the same tasks over and over. And so we just took a Pringles can and popsicle sticks and stuffed them in there. So the kids actually had to push them in. We made the slot small enough so that sometimes they just drop things in, sometimes they have to push things in. And I've used it for that. So for the severe kids, I do a lot of different put-in tasks of all different kinds. So I'm always looking for manipulatives that I can use for that. Erin?
If one of you can make me a host real quick, I have some pictures to share too.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes.
That is okay. I actually just recently did a blog post. I'll post the link in the comments here in a second. I just have a image link copied already, so there we go. So I use manipulatives a lot in my classroom, especially for math. Our students are really visual, hands-on learners in my classroom. So being able to manipulate, oh, that is not what I wanted. Sorry. That is not it at all. But being able to manipulate items to help us learn has been amazing for my kiddos. Copy image. No, copy image dress. That's the one I want. So this is one of my kiddos doing some math tasks in my classroom. And we use a 10 frame often in our classroom and then just 2 different colored cubes for counting out each number. So she counted 8 green ones and then 1 orange cube to do her math problem. So just even simple color coding has really helped my students. Let me post that link to that blog post here too. And we also do, for my students that aren't quite ready to be using hands-on manipulatives, I have, I'll post another picture here in a second. Here's the link to that blog post. And then my students that can't really handle having manipulatives in their hand because they're just too much fun, I have them using, oh, that is not where it was. Sorry. Tech fail. They use a whiteboard marker to draw the numbers they see onto a 10 frame. So I have the one with the paddle with the numbers, and then they've drawn on the 10 frame themselves. So we're working on subitizing their recognizing numbers. And I found this really helpful too, because my students aren't necessarily able to verbalize, oh, I see 5 because the whole top row is full. But if I watch them draw it, I can see how they see it. So if I build 5 and I just see them fill in the top, that's pretty much how they've seen it. I've seen some students fill in the 2 sides and then the middles. So it's really interesting to see how their brain is seeing things, which is all the subitizing videos I've watched. That's what the kiddos are doing. Those typical kiddos explaining what they see and how they see 7. Oh, there's 5 and there's 2. But being able to watch them and how their brain works was really cool to me. Those are my quick little tips for manipulatives.
Oh.
looking
We
to
have something going on.
Oh, is it me?
I don't know what it is. It just started. So we apologize if our audience is hearing all that too.
Probably me. Let me go ahead and I'm not hearing it, so I'm guessing it's me. I'm going to drop out and let me know.
I'm not hearing it anymore.
Oh,
I was trying to figure out why the questions weren't posting on the left.
oh,
Do you guys see them?
I cannot.
Okay. Then at least I'm not going crazy. I have to check every once in a while.
Okay, Bree says we sound good. Sorry.
Okay, good. Well, we're glad that's not going out.
Sometimes technology.
I think that even a lot of times, even the paper clips. I use the red dots like you had in the picture, Erin. Mm-hmm. And there's so many different kinds of things like that you can use. But it was so important for me in my situation to be able to make sure that I taught the kids the proper way to use all the different things. But we even use crazy things like, we use pennies quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And just marking out the boards and like in math problems or matching from one card to another card and things like that. And but even koosh balls and little things like that, to be able to put them down and match them or call out a letter and put it down on the square. My kids love to do that.
Absolutely. I know I've used it in reading. I use some manipulatives, not as many, because it's just not as user-friendly, hands-on kind of learning. But we've used some, like when I'm doing beginning sounds. So I'll use some Elkonin boxes, so like the 3 boxes, and have students filling in for each sound, just a cube, not necessarily a letter. So if we're starting to spell a word, they could spell at and just segment the word instead of reading it.
We have a question of what is our opinion on using preferred items like dinosaurs as manipulatives? And dinosaurs was a very common object in a lot of my classrooms. What about y'all?
Mine too.
I think they're great. I mean, if you can use preferred items that the kids are going to get engaged with, go for it.
It depends on how preferred they are to me. Sometimes they're too preferred. And it becomes more about the dinosaurs than the skills.
And sometimes you have to teach them that now we're going to use it for teaching instead of playing with them.
Right.
You have to kind of set those boundaries. But I do a lot of tasks that use preferred things because the kids are more engaged with it.
Oh, absolutely.
And even if you're not using the actual thing, so maybe you're not using dinosaurs for counting. One of the things I've done is gotten like dinosaurs playing cards or pictures of things, and we use those instead. So they're not things that they're used to playing with. Maybe I don't use the same materials, but like I used to have a kid who was really into NASCAR. So I took a bunch of pictures of NASCAR from magazines and things like that and used that to have them count. So they weren't the actual cars, and that worked out well. Done the same thing with basketballs, so that, we're using pictures, we're using things that they're motivated by, but they aren't the same things they're used to playing with. I had another question.
Oh, go
ahead.
I'm sorry. I also used to use them for I'm so sorry. I just lost that whole train of thought and trying to do something here at the same, too many things at one time. Go ahead.
We had another question that asked
about language, right? Here it is.
Yeah. What do you do to get students to use more language for kids who like to use only one word? And I'm actually looking for a picture that I have on that. But of course, it's never as easy as I think it should be. I actually essentially have used a popsicle stick as a sentence strip.
Mm-hmm.
So keeping it with our manipulative theme. Let Let me find.
When I had a lot of preferred objects, this is what I was going to say a minute ago. When I had a lot of preferred objects, then I could alternate them out also. So that, okay, now we're going to use pennies, and then we'll use dinosaurs or something like that. So just alternate something that's a little bit less preferred before we do the preferred items, and that's the help.
Or if you're teaching addition, one group is dinosaurs and one group is something that's not the preferred, so that then they have to use both to solve the problem.
That's a great idea.
This is actually a popsicle stick we used as a sentence strip, and the kids had to put I want and then what they wanted on it, and then they had to tell us. So sometimes I use it as a picture exchange, and sometimes I've used it to lengthen how many things they say, but it gives them some visual cues to use it. And popsicle sticks are good because they don't break. I don't have to laminate them. They're easy to pull out of my closet quickly and make a sentence out of them. But I found that really helps because then I can point to it and they can see, no, you got to tell me in a whole sentence, and it just gives them the visual cue to do that. And then eventually I can drop that picture off and use it the way that you see it, where all they need is that cue of I want.
Yeah.
Paint sticks are awesome for that too.
Yeah.
Paint sticks. Yeah, I'm manipulative wise, I can't think of much for expanding utterances, but just in materials in general, having multiples and different colors and having students have to request, like I have students that will just say, I want purple. So I'll give them anything purple, especially what I know that they want that's not purple or that is purple, but not what they want. Sorry, I said that wrong. So like if they want a purple marker, I'll give them purple scissors. And then they're like, I want purple. I'm like, those are purple. And it gets them to start expanding their utterances or holding up two of the same. So we have trains that some of my students like. So I want yellow train, I want red train, and those kinds of things.
And then someone had asked what's your opinion on using pretend objects in special ed classrooms versus the real object, and why would you use each and why?
I started all the time with real objects. It's the most concrete, it's the most visible, it's the most closest to their experience. As they got better at things, I would often then fade that away. But for the most part, I stuck with that, and then faded it out and faded it to, let's say, if we were using, a concrete object versus a make-believe object or something like that, then we could use a paper one or a representation of it, or we could then just pretend that it's there or that it's a real thing.
Unless it's dinosaurs. I'm just kidding. It's hard to get real dinosaurs these days.
True.
No, I agree with you completely. I, as much as I can, try to start my whatever concepts we're working on with the real things, and then fade to picture representation, and then to either just graphic representation. Like if we're counting, then counting circles. You don't have to draw a bug every time you're writing a story problem about a bug. You can draw a circle. That's okay too. So,
right. I think the other thing, Brittany, is that it depends on the age of your students. I use a lot of pretend or miniature objects with younger kids than I do with older kids. Older kids, I use a lot more real materials than I would use. I almost use no pretend visuals with the materials with them. But with younger kids, I might be using more counting bears, more things that you might find in a play kitchen instead of things that you would find in a real kitchen. So in that sense, I would use more pretend imaginative stuff than I would with older kids. So it just depends.
I agree.
Other questions? Have I missed any?
I thought I might. Maybe I didn't. No, I thought I'd missed one. But
has anybody got any different types of manipulatives that they use that we haven't talked about?
Oh, and I've got another one, another way to
Counting
Counting
bears.
bears, yeah.
You have a 10-year-old and a 20-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I don't think you can ever go wrong with using real things. I think that mini erasers I
I
love.
love those.
But I think that for younger kids, we do use Disney princesses and things that are more age appropriate. If they're really a highly desired item of a 20-year-old, I might use them, but I eventually would like to switch them over to more real life things.
Mm-hmm.
But I might go find things that look like Disney princesses in fashion magazines and use those as a way to kind of make that transfer too. Squidges?
Oh, I don't know that I've heard of those.
I don't know what those are at all. Now I want to go look them up.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Yeah, tell us more.
We use a lot of stuff for reinforcers too. This was just another way to use popsicle sticks for a language-based task. This was a kid who was learning to ask questions. And what I liked about using popsicle sticks instead of other things is that they were a durable way that I could put him in a cup. And he didn't always, this was a kid who memorized everything, to the point where even with this task, he would go through and, pull out sticks until he found the first one and then do the question. And the answers were always the same. But he had to finish things off and he had to ask questions, and it mixed up when he was doing it. So it allowed us to put them in a cup and he could pull them out and use them as reminders of what to ask.
Oh, there's a link to them. I need to.
Squidges. We all have to know what squidges are.
Oh, those are cool.
And hold on, I'm actually going to see if I can.
Should be able to get it.
Put this picture in the. Oops. Let me try the picture. I've got the link for the picture.
Oh, those are cool.
Those are really cool. I want those. I'm going to order them now.
Same thing.
Color coding and fine motor. Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, here.
Like the work basket's coming up.
Exactly.
Well, Work Basket Wednesday is next week.
All right. I'll take pictures someday. Those are really cool.
But I don't know that it worked.
No, I don't see it.
No, I don't either.
Let's see. Okay.
Oh, wait, here. No, that won't work.
Let me try once. See if. Nope. Oh.
Here.
Nope.
It'll give you the link there, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys should all check them out.
They're
my favorite thing.
And then when I use the image link, it just gives me a blank screen. So
Bummer.
hopefully you'll be able to see them by seeing the thing in the comments.
Yeah.
They are very cool.
I like those a lot.
I'm guessing your kids would like them a lot.
I think they would.
They are amazing. I'll bet they are.
Have either of you ever used like puzzle pieces as any kind of manipulatives? I think they'd be cool. I just don't know how to use them yet.
I've used them as token systems, but not really as manipulatives.
Yeah. There's some kiddos that really like puzzles this year, and I'm trying to find a way to use them more often, but all right. Thought I'd ask.
I saw them somewhere just recently in the last day or two. I'll see if I can find them. And it was a blog on using puzzle pieces.
Oh, very cool.
So I'll see if I can find it.
Math facts and answers on the back. Perfect. Thank you, Ember.
Excellent. Yes.
That's a great idea.
That is a great idea.
Or even you could do like number sequence on the back. I don't know if that would work. Never mind. My kiddos like those jigsaw puzzles this year, but I'll find something.
Any last call for questions? We've used our time up for this evening. Any other questions out there? We appreciate everybody joining us tonight, and bunch of cardboard ones.
I love it.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
You can email me anytime.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.
You can always email with questions later, guys. Don't worry.
Share them on Facebook, whatever you need to do. Have a good night, guys.
Night.